How are you?
I'm vertical.
Welcome, everybody. It's good to see everyone. Let's just jump right in. So the first order of business is approval of the April 2025 meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
I move they be approved.
John, is there a second? Ooh.
I'll second it. I wasn't here, but I'll second
Okay.
it.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Is there anybody abstaining from the vote? All right, motion passes. Next is the May 2025 notification of what we did last month. Is there a motion to approve that statement?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
I second.
Patrick? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Motion passes. It's not on the agenda, but we were notified that there is a member of the public who wishes to address the board. So we'll go ahead and do that now. And when you come up, if you could just state your name and address for the record.
Now I feel very shy. I didn't expect to be at the top of the meeting. I'm Elizabeth Bruner at 306 Hinton Street near downtown Apex. and I've been here for 22 years. I'm now car-free, which I'm proud of, and that feels like a good thing that environmentalists would endorse. So my request is that with some of the special events that are held at outlying parks, we think about people who are reliant as pedestrians or for a bus. I would love to go to some of the events, but it's just not feasible, right? I'd have to pay for Uber or convince a friend to drive me along. And I think there's other people, and that includes maybe younger teens who don't have a driver's license, who would love to attend. So I know there's sometimes options for special shuttles. I saw that the senior center now has buses that they can use for pop-up events. I saw that in a newsletter. I was pretty excited. But I thought maybe this committee could do some coordination with other folks to have a shuttle to go to Pollinator and other things, and at least test it, because I promise you, I'll ride it, and there'll probably be other people if it's promoted. Then I did want to compliment you. I followed Bill Jensen on the town council a long time, and I remember when it seemed like you were a lone voice for solar energy and environmental things. When I moved here, the town council felt very opposed to environmental issues. I tried talking to the mayor, and he dismissed me as a Californian and, wouldn't listen to any ideas or suggestions. So it's lovely that this committee exists, and I've been impressed by the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on, next agenda item, announcements, invasive species removal workday.
Yes, so we had our first removal work day last Saturday. Brett showed up for that, so thank you for coming. Hope you didn't get too many scratches.
You show it too.
Oh no! So bad. But it was really successful. The group that we partnered with, the high school nonprofit group, there's Southern Wake Area Native Ecosystem Conservation Group, SWANEC. It's a mouthful. But they came, they showed up and showed out. We had 13 people come, and we bagged 12 yard waste bags worth of plant material. So it was awesome. They said that the most I've ever done in one of their sessions or work days was 9 bags worth. So we beat their previous record, so that's awesome. And our next event is the 28th. So a couple Saturdays from now. It's 10 to 12 at Apex Community Park. And we just meet right at the entrance where the community shelters are, near the bear statue. So if you're interested, show up. You can register through the portal online, the volunteer portal, or just show up and be ready to sign a waiver. But it was great. It was a really successful event, so that went well.
Great.
Where did you remove these species from? Was it from the park?
Yeah, just like along the lake trail path. Mm-hmm. We had a couple different groups of people. Brett was mainly like right at the front. We had a group of kids go back on some of those like trails that are further in the park. So just kind of everywhere around the lake trail. But yeah, it was great.
How often do you do this? Is this a monthly event?
This was our first one.
Oh, okay.
So that group, SWANEC, they've been doing cleanups around Wake County for a while now. I think a year or two. But this was Apex's first one. So after this next one, we're going to try and plan some more. So we're going to keep it going. Yep.
Is there a plan to see, to sort of track those areas and see, are things coming back in with the soil disturbance? Is there a seed bank present that things are popping back up?
We're going to do that for sure this next Saturday. This first one was a little bit of a whirlwind. Mm-hmm. But SWANEC, they actually do take like square footage of the areas that they've pulled the plants out of. So we'll do those measurements again. We need to take like before and after photos. Mm-hmm. So there is going to be some kind of tracking to keep up with it. Yeah.
That's great.
Yep.
Awesome. Excellent. All right. Moving on to new business, which I believe is Nora again, perhaps?
That's me again. Actually, it's Ellison.
Okay.
So Ellison Lambert, who is our volunteer coordinator, she has been doing a lot of the heavy lifting with the pollinator garden work. She works with the Apex Youth Council to manage the pollinator garden at the nature park. And she's planning a really cute event on the 26th of June. So about 2 weeks from now. And it's going to be a big pollinator event. It's called Evening in the Garden. I think there was an insert of the flyer in your agenda packet, and it's 5 to 7. And I'm going to be there with a booth, a table, and she said if anybody from EAB wants to join me, please feel free. She would love for that. There's going to be people from the Ava Perry Library, some native flowers for kids to take home, crafts. The theme is butterflies this year, but it's really just about pollinators in general. So that's at the Apex Nature Park, set up to 4:30, but if you're interested, you can email me or just show up the day of, but I'll be there. And I think the craft that I'm gonna prepare is to make little like bug hotels. So I'm gonna buy some coconut husk, get some pine cones, some twine, let people just shove pine cones, leaves inside the coconut and tie it up, and it makes a little mini bug hotel. So fun and easy, and should just be a cute event. So if you want to show up, let me know.
I do want to show up.
Okay.
Is there a rain date?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I can double check with Ellison, but I think this is it.
This is it. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and if it gets thunderstormy, will there be like an announcement or something to?
Yeah. I don't know if there's like a attendance, like if you could register to attend. Ellison's probably keeping up with all that and like communication wise, but I'll ask like for our end.
Okay.
But I'm sure she'll send out a message before if it gets canceled.
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna hope for good weather.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was a text from the one previously, because there was some rain chances, and there was a text saying, we're on, the night before, it's looking good, so
Okay.
it was pretty good. I think it's a new system, I think, and it's,
I just did that.
oh, that was you?
Yeah. I just did it.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
No,
That was actually really hard because I had to look on the list and like type in everyone's number and like
Better than that.
that was hard. I think Ellison would. I think she does have a system where she can do it easier. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought that's what it
Yeah.
was, but I didn't know it was you. Okay.
Do we still have those pollinator seeds? Did we get rid of all of those at the last?
Oh
I'm
no,
not
we do. We have a bunch of those. So
Can we?
yeah.
Can you distribute those
Yep,
at this
for
event?
sure. That would be
Yeah.
good.
Let's just.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any way we can, any way we can
And with the
distribute.
prayer that they'll germinate.
Yeah.
None of at my house, so.
None of yours did?
Not even the ones
That's
from
not a
last
good
year.
thing.
That's good to know. Thank you for trying.
Yeah, we should give them with the caveat that maybe they won't germinate.
There's a little pot in there, right?
Yeah.
So you could even put just any other seed in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could like plant pumpkin seeds and away you go.
I didn't think about that.
I just
Okay.
hate to give away to people and then they don't work.
Yeah,
That's the
it's
big
kind of a
concern.
bummer.
All right.
User error.
Okay. So next up, we have the Earth Fest survey results presentation.
Go. And actually, I was going to say about the pollinator event, I left some extra flyers outside. So if you want to pick those up, you can go get one. Okay, it's been a while since Earthfest has happened. Obviously, I forgot to change the date, so this is not May, June. But this is our Earthfest, our survey, the QR code that we sent out. This was the results of that. Shouldn't take too long, but I thought I'd just make a little visual representation. So we had 82 responses total, which was awesome because we only had 19 on the day of the event. But then Karen Cox and Communications sent out the QR code in the All in Apex newsletter. So that was awesome. We got 63 responses from that. So majority of the people that filled out the survey were from Apex. 67 results were Apex. We had 5 people from Cary, and then 4 people from just other. So our age range, you can see that big clump of people was age 36 to 54. That was about half of our respondents. And then 55 plus was the next highest. 26 to 35-year-olds was about 18%. And then our young people did not show up for this. We only had about 1.3% for both, 13 to 25, which I don't know if that's accurate because I feel like I remember we talked to a bunch of like 20-looking-year-old people, but maybe they just didn't submit it all the way through. So majority of the people were that 36 to 54 age range. So for the question, this was really what we were looking for, was what are your main environmental concerns for the town? Of course, loss of forest and tree canopies came out to be number one. I'm not shocked by that. I feel like that's what I hear a lot of. Loss of biodiversity is second. Pollution of rivers, lakes, and reservoirs was third, and then air pollution was fourth. Next up, fifth was minimizing heat islands. Solar was sixth, flooding, and then one person just wrote charm, which not really environmental, but I thought I would include it. But this is good to keep in mind for this group, and then even just for me. Like, I know grant writing, thinking about applying to different programs, different grants, including like, hey, if we want to do like expanding Plant the Peak or another tree program, well, we have the data to say, you know, we polled a group of people at EarthFest and this was number one. This was their top concern. So it's just useful to know this information. And then we asked what was the most important function for the town's environmental programs team, which is something that I'm heading up, but also we can think about as a group here. Number one was to facilitate the prioritization of conservation and restoration needs, which is basically what I feel like the EAB, that's what we're doing here. Number two was habitat restoration. Number three was community conservation programs, kind of like what we're doing with the Pollinator Night event. Four was communicate community-driven needs to decision makers. Again, this is what the EAB is doing. Fifth was education and outreach, which is funny because that was an outreach event, so I don't know how that's so low. And then number six was gather community feedback for conservation and restoration needs. So exactly what the survey was. Again, I don't know how that was so low, but I guess people don't think that that's important. I guess that kind of feeds into all the other ones as well. And then our last two questions. Before this survey, were you familiar with Apex's tree canopy or pollinator programs? So like what Ellison has been working on. Majority of the people said no. So obviously we know we need to be pushing that we're doing these programs, that we're out actually in the community doing the good work. Because 49 people said no, 31 said yes. And then same thing for our sustainability action plan, which is something that Dawn Reeves, our sustainability coordinator, is working on. Majority of the people said no. They were not familiar with that, didn't know that Apex had an action plan at all, so obviously need to work on, you know, pushing that message out there. And that was all we had. Those were our questions. So do you guys have any questions?
Thank you. Is the survey still open or?
It's closed
It's
now.
closed.
It's
Okay.
off the EAB page.
Okay.
But I mean, we can alter it and use the same format next year, change it, edit it, or keep it the same if we want. Just repost the link. But yeah.
Okay.
I have one question.
Mhm.
Do we know how most people get their Apex information or news? Like, if it's social media, is it just word of mouth? Is it coming like to the town hall? 'Cause I think that would be important to know, to disseminate
Yeah.
some of these.
I don't know, but I'm
Thanks.
gonna guess social media probably
Okay.
is number one.
Okay.
I would say, like, I'm not sure who posts them through Instagram. It comes through a lot on, it pops up a lot on my phone, so I see majority of stuff through
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yep. Or even like this was in All in Apex, which like that's emailed to me. So I saw it in the email for this newsletter.
Okay.
So I think social media is probably the top one. But I could ask Karen. I mean, maybe she would know.
I mean, that would be a good way for us to get information out based on how most people, you know, get their information. If we
Yep.
need to put something out, we can use those resources and those avenues.
For sure.
The place where I see most, I don't get anything on social media or anything like that. When I'm here for like rec volleyball games and stuff, I I usually look at those pamphlets downstairs, and I see that. Like, I think a lot of people do because they're like just waiting for their kid to play, and it's like, what am I gonna do now?
Yeah.
So that's where I get most of it from.
So we need to cover all bases, is
Yeah.
kind of what it sounds
Yeah.
like, yeah, just
Yeah.
every type of media.
We can keep asking like similar questions to see if the number like decreases in terms of like, do they know about these programs after
Yeah.
we pushed it out more?
That's one thing on like Instagram. You have to, if you follow the town of Apex, then when you get the notifications, it alerts you on the phone. So that's why I do get as many as I see as many as I do.
Yeah.
The only question I had, so the charm was the only write-in one, like the other ones were all canned answers that you picked from.
Yeah, they were, but there was a write-in section, so there was a ton of stuff that I just couldn't include. I mean, not bad. It was just,
No, like I want to know now.
I just chose the top ones that were the
Similar?
pre-selected ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
People wrote like paragraphs in the box. I was like, I can't include that
Gotcha.
in this little short presentation, but
Could any of those written responses sort of be categorized?
development.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
That was
development,
basically
okay.
Which even then, I don't think they cracked like the top 5 or whatever. Like it wasn't that many, but
Well, I guess
all of them were.
overdevelopment was
Yeah.
okay. That's what I get from every single person who's lived here for
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah.
Stop coming, you know.
Yeah.
All right,
That was it
thank
for
you,
that.
Nora.
Yeah, of course. Throw it back on.
All right. So next up, we have review of the revised suggested zoning conditions list. So we have a version, just sort of a summary of what we did is we took out a lot of the duplication and explanation language and just sort of collapsed it down, and that in and of itself took a couple pages off. It's still a bit long, so perhaps when we get more members, we could take another pass through and really sort of target, because there are a few things on there that will probably, that never get taken up, never actually will get, excuse me, will get done. So we have this version right now, and if you all are good with it, we can vote on it, and the community can start using it.
I do have one question on the first page where you're talking about residential and non-residential development categories and coverage. Under the part 3, the last sentence says your development may include elements of each part. I'm wondering if maybe that ought to be up in that bold section before you start describing the parts, that one sentence.
So you're saying, I just want to make sure I understand, you're proposing that sentence be moved to,
Where it says part 1 applies to all developments,
Okay.
part 2 applies exclusively to residential, and part 3 exclusively to non-residential developments. And then after that, say your development may include elements of each part.
In this bold part,
Right.
yeah. I think that makes sense.
that does make sense to me.
Yeah.
What does
This
the board-
this last line right here, move it up.
Move it
Yeah,
up to there. Bruce, did that make sense to you? Yeah. Okay. And would you advise that?
It's worth having a conversation, yeah. I mean, I think it's fair.
Okay. Okay.
Other than that, I think it looks good.
At our last talk, we talked about categories, like having the 3 versus changing that. What do you think about that?
categories as in like,
Or like, I think we were talking about, was it too much to have like a part 1, a part 2, a part 3? But then that's kind of what we had before,
Yeah.
yeah.
you know.
I mean, there was an attempt to combine them, right? And it didn't
Yeah.
work out. Yeah.
I'm not sure you can combine them, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't think it makes sense to combine them personally.
I think, yeah, it will just be, if there's anything that never gets used, take that out. But
Yeah, I mean, it is sort of meant to be not like a super living document, you know, you don't want to keep changing it out from under everybody because, you know.
Well, if it never gets used, then why are you hesitant in taking it out now?
Well, we could do that. Then we would have to come back, I guess, and I guess we could take it out and then vote on it, the document with that item removed.
Well, what are the things that never get used, right? Like, so it's.
Well, there are a lot of things that never get used, but I sort of feel like they need to be in there as an option because I don't know what things are going to change. It may come a time where, you know, we do more stuff with pervious driveways and stuff because nobody
is
does
true.
that now. Nobody does that now.
That is true, and with the some of the, you know, there may come a time where, you know, you can do it on private streets, but the town itself might, you know, do more stuff with street design and bioswales and stuff like that.
yeah,
I mean, if the goal is to make it more concise, therefore simpler, but I don't know why I don't think any of them are bad suggestions. It's like, why would you want to remove them?
Okay.
Right? Like, it's not that hard to read it and pick.
I mean,
Doesn't mean we don't want people to do it just because they aren't doing it.
That's a good point.
And whose time are we really trying to save? Is it the developer?
yeah.
To me, it'll take them 5 minutes more probably to check off the boxes that we leave, even if they say no. But at least it puts it in front of them.
Yeah.
And I agree with what John has said and saying.
Okay. And there also is a risk, is if you remove, like you said, if you remove them, we may forget about them, they may never come back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So we have moving that one sentence up. Do you all, before we motion and vote, do you all have any other just informal discussion?
On the signage for RCA's, do we want to try to be a little more specific?
Which number is that?
That would be 23 on page 4.
So Patrick had suggested a type of sign.
Mm-hmm.
And does planning have any thoughts on that?
Which number were we speaking about?
23.
23. And what was the question regarding that?
Do we need more specificity on perhaps the size of the sign or how many signs or how far apart the signs need to be? Because if you just put up one tiny sign and you've got, 500 feet of RCA, I don't know that that's gonna provide a lot of help.
Okay. That's something I'm happy to take to the director and discuss, like what they think would be most appropriate for that. Yeah, because I understand what you're saying. Because if you have RCA that maybe is connected in the entire site, they may argue that one sign, one space isn't good enough. Where if it's separated, yeah, you may have multiple.
I think the Little Beaver Creek Conservation Area, we did it every 100 feet.
300 feet.
Every 100 feet.
What size did you do at the Beaver Creek?
I think a 6x6 diamond on a U-channel post.
What height did you have those at?
I think they're roughly at 4 feet or so.
Oh, and I noticed the capitalization on this is wonky. Do we want them capitalized or not? I don't know why, just the A is on areas.
Probably the R and the C too.
Yeah.
So as far as approving this document, could we approve it as is with the language for number 23 and sort of, otherwise
We approve with comment.
approve with comment? Because, you know, recognizing that every 100 feet might not be appropriate, like, I guess my concern is how prescriptive should we be? I get your point that you don't want to put too few and defeat the purpose, but it's,
Right. I mean, it's a suggestion, right? They don't have
Yeah,
to do this
yeah.
anyway, so it's like to have a specific thing.
but then if it does roll forward and it is something that they
Right.
say, yes, we'll do, it then needs to be something that can be enforced objectively.
Right. What did we say about solar? Because with solar, we always recommend a number of panels,
It's
But
a kilowatt.
kilowatt per square foot.
Yeah.
We just do that as a minimum. It's a suggestion though. And I think it's really minimal.
So I guess the question is, should we be prescriptive or just say they need to be, or just have that condition sort of fleshed out as the applicant moves forward and gets a better idea of their site design?
I don't think it's bad to say recommended every 100 feet
Okay.
minimum or something like
Yeah,
that.
6x6 sign at 4-foot height every 100 feet is the recommendation.
How big were the signs? I'm sorry.
6 inches by 6 inches.
Okay,
6x6 diamond.
yeah, okay.
Okay. Do you all see anything else? If not, does somebody want to make a motion that includes the moving of the last sentence in part 3 up to the header and the, and adding
Changes.
language to number 23 that's recommends a 6x6 sign at 4-foot height every 100 feet.
I make the recommendation, I move.
Okay, John? Second. And Jerry? Okay, all in favor of approving this document with those changes?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. A new document to go up on the website. All right, so next we have attendance and communication updates, which I believe is Nora. Okay.
If we have any questions, I'm gonna refer to you. But basically, it's just that for this month's meeting, we're including personal emails now because there have been some issues with people, especially if you have an iPhone, trying to like log in to your Outlook and not being able to log in. So now you're gonna get them at your town email address and your personal email address. And just to make sure that we always have a quorum, I'm gonna include in the emails now, if you can just respond back to me if you're planning to be here for the meeting. And those emails go out the Monday before. So look on the Monday with the agenda, and let me know because we have to have a quorum to meet. If there's no quorum, we can go into the conference room and have a little staff chat, but it just can't be an official meeting. But that's about it. Anything to add?
Okay, Alan, while we have you here, would you mind if I asked a question? When can we expect the board to have its new members?
Sure. So an email is going out to the council members this week on the applicants and the review of those, and we're hoping to bring those back to the June 24th council meeting for discussion and possible vote. So they would take effect July 1 for any new appointments.
And then they would be present at the July meeting.
Yes,
Okay.
that's the hope.
Okay.
Now, if they don't take action in the last meeting in June, then they would be deferred to August.
Because there's no meeting in July.
Correct.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
I noticed on the consent agenda Tuesday night that there were changes made to how the board works and its interface with the council. One thing was bringing like motions and recommendations and resolutions and stuff have to be brought to the town council within 90 days of going through here. Last year, we approved a recommendation or a resolution to go to the council that has not yet made it to them yet. Do we need to relook at that and again, or is that going to end up going back to the council now under these new rules?
So that situation is why that was put into the policy, because there was no clear pathway for if the board adopted a particular resolution or took an action, what was the next step? Was it up to staff to funnel that to the clerk's office to be put on the agenda? Was it to be recommended through the staff liaison to the manager's office? Was it just to be presented by the board chair to the council? And so that's why it's so prescriptive as to when a recommendation comes out of the board, what's the process for doing so?
My question is, we've got that one outstanding thing. Do we need to go through and re-adopt it and re-vote on it to send it on, or do we, or?
I think it would be a good idea.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. So, being that we won't know, so John is up for his term. He's a holdover right now. So we will not know if he's going to be reappointed. So if this does happen to be your last meeting, just want to acknowledge your long service to the community, and you were appointed at the inception of this board, right?
Right.
Yeah, and you have provided invaluable and input, and your perspective has just been amazing. You worked on the lighting ordinance, the zoning conditions list, I think like twice. Yeah. You wrote the resolution, which you were just referencing for us that we passed. You've served as vice chair, and you have spent many, many hours representing the board at festivals. So if it is your last meeting, I just want to personally thank you. And it has been a pleasure getting to know you and serving with you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I second it.
Okay, is there any other items on the board for open discussion? All right, y'all, is there, well, let's see, our next meeting will be well, I guess it should be July 17th. I'm not seeing it on the town calendars yet. Or maybe I just don't have it.
Yeah, 17th.
July 17th. It will be July 17th.
So that's the town holiday.
July.
No, it's not.
Right?
It's July. July. That's why we're meeting
Next-
tonight.
Yeah,
Next
yeah,
time.
yeah.
So July 17th will be our next meeting, and we might have a bunch of new faces joining us. All right, so with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
All
John,
right.
you should go make the motion.
You can
You
second
made
it.
it. I'll second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for your time tonight.